What is a peer group?
So a peer group can mean a lot of different things, you know, but I like to say that it's just kind of like a little hangout, you get to meet people with different experiences, they come from different backgrounds, they are different culturally, but also they share like the same thing as they have a mental illness. Well, that's NAMI's way of putting it, but in general it could be different things as well, like maybe you can attend a peer group that you're all interested in, I don't know, biking, or but peer groups are meant to like build connections and bring everybody together, to kind of get to the point where they're not alone.
Hey, welcome back to Normalize the Conversation. Today I'm here with Ali Korber from NAMI Tallahassee, and today we're going to talk about peer support groups. Ali, thank you so much for joining me today. I am really excited for this conversation. But before we begin, let's check in. How are you really?
So I'm feeling good today, actually. There's good days and there's bad days, but today is a good day. It's also Sunday, so the weekend in itself is always good. But yeah, I feel like I'm ready to conquer the world today.
I love that. I feel that way about weekends too. It's just I feel like I have a lot more energy during the week. I get so exhausted and drained, and then the weekend comes and it's like, okay, I have responsibilities, but they half exist for the next 2 days. So I'm ready. I'm here.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that a little too. As a grad student, there's so many responsibilities on the weekend, and it's crazy. It could be overwhelming. But what I love about the weekend in general is just that you can unwind, and you don't have to worry about all the obligations that you have to attend to. I mean, sure, there's always homework, but you can just, relax and take a breather for a moment.
Yeah. Wait, what are you studying in grad school?
I'm an MSW student, which is a master's in social work student at Florida State. So it's exciting.
That's so exciting. I'm doing my master's right now in general psych, and the amount of homework that I have to do,
I
not
agree.
fun. I'm spending the rest of my day after this writing a paper. So excited. I love APA papers. Favorite thing to do on a weekend.
No, yeah, that sounds really fun. I'm doing my like internship class right now. So at the end of this class, we have to write a 20 to 25 page paper about like all this different stuff, our experience, I don't know, the different interactions we had, also like, not violating any HIPAA stuff. But yes, we have to do this whole big thing. So looking forward to it.
Sounds like so much fun. This semester, the class I have to write the paper for is actually group therapy, where we're learning about building these peer support groups. And at night, so my classes are 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Let's go Cali time, being in Florida. And the second half of our class, so from like 11:30 p.m. to 1 a.m., is actual group therapy, where we get to practice what it's like to be in a peer support group, and what it's like to be the facilitator on our chosen dates, what it's like to engage in conversations, to feel uncomfortable, to not agree, to agree, how to build cohesion. It's just so amazing to me, which is why I'm really excited for this conversation. Maybe it'll help me write my paper after this, actually. So
Yes.
jump into this conversation. For those who don't know, what is a peer group?
So a peer group can mean a lot of different things, but I like to say that it's just kind of like a little hangout, you get to meet people with different experiences, they come from different backgrounds, they are different culturally, but also they share like the same thing as they have a mental illness. Well, that's NAMI's way of putting it, but in general it could be different things as well, like maybe you can attend a peer group that you're all interested in, I don't know, biking or, but peer groups are meant to like build connections and bring everybody together, to kind of get to the point where, they're not alone. And it's great.
I love that. From my 3 weeks or 4 weeks of experience in peer groups, I can say one of my favorite things is I'm that person who loves to do the vulnerable share because I love to talk about myself. So, but I love when people respond and they're like, no, I understand. Like, I've been going through that too, or I've been through that. Here's what's helped me. Here's where I'm struggling. And even though, like, I know I'm not alone, I get that. But at the same time, sometimes things feel so isolating, even when you know in your mind that you're not the only one going through it. So for me, hearing how many people are going through the exact same thing who've been through it, who have some kind of wisdom or some kind of similar struggle, I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So what do peer support groups look like to you?
So each group that NAMI Tallahassee does is different. We have one that are all about families and, supporting them, dealing with their loved ones who have a mental illness. There's also ones that are adults. So it's like a mixture of ages and, there's young adults in there, there's older adults. It's also a great group, but the young adult support group is specifically targeted to young adults ages 18 to 25 plus. So the group to me, especially if we're considering young adults, is just like I was saying earlier, like a hangout style type of group. We're not gonna, bring all this terminology into play. We're gonna make them feel comfortable, and allow them the opportunity, if they're comfortable, to keep coming back. The groups are made to just, connect, allow individuals to connect with others, per se. But it does it in a way where it's not like overbearing.
I like that. So that's very unique to have a specific age group, 18 to 25. I have not seen that really anywhere else. I've seen more when you become an adult, it's just 18 plus. And for me, I can go based on when I was in the psych ward, how there weren't a lot of people my age with the same experiences and struggles that I was having, that I could relate to theirs and they could relate to me. So although they had been my age once upon a time, they haven't in today's modern society and how much things have changed. So I felt a difficulty in connecting into understanding their specific experiences and for them to understand my specific experiences. So I think it's really cool to have an age group that's kind of similar. But what inspired you to create a group targeted at that 18 to 25 age?
That's an amazing question, because when I first moved to Tallahassee for grad school, I, looked into NAMI for myself, even because, I have anxiety and depression, and I felt that I needed, additional support, on top of like the counseling center at the university. But I looked into it and I attended a few of the adult support groups. They were great, very helpful, but when there wasn't a lot of young adults in the groups, so kind of you cannot relate to them. So I found myself just, keeping my social worker brain on and, not really unwinding and taking care of myself. So I decided to create a group that targets young adults. And it's mostly because there's not a lot of support in the Tallahassee area for young adults. And, they often feel isolated, not to mention COVID, caused a lot of that. So making this group, the goal was to just, target the people who need, the connections and what's awesome is it's on Zoom, so anybody from around the country can visit. And we have some attendees that are from like different states, so it's really amazing, like the impact, just seeing it, like, because it's been launched in January, so just seeing the impact it has like right now is so great.
Yeah. So for reference to anyone listening, we're recording this on May 22nd, 2022. So it has been 4 months since the launch, which is amazing to see how much you've grown and to get people from different areas. I think that just goes to show how important it is to have a group that's targeted at a specific age group. And not saying that 18 to 25 is the only age group that there should be a peer support group for, but it is a very important age. And it's one that I relate to, and I know you relate to.
Yeah.
So it's really important to us specifically. But let's dive deeper into why it's important. What are some of the unique challenges and experiences you think people are having in our age range?
Well, there's a lot of like adjustments that young adults go through. Starting college, is hard. A lot of people don't realize, it's exciting, but it's very challenging. And the stress of school and the stress of life, they don't even have to be in school. The stress of life, for young adults in that age range is significant. We don't really, I like to say, I don't really know what I'm doing sometimes. Adulting is difficult. And they're transitioning into that. So, the stress of it, the adjustments of it, I mean, that causes a lot of isolation. So that age range in particular, I mean, they're the most vulnerable to mental, health conditions. And it's definitely like refreshing to have, as a young adult myself, it was refreshing to have people that, know where you're coming from and can provide tips for you, recommendations. Like, sometimes we have people coming in, they don't know how to deal with their mental illness, and, other people are chiming in, giving suggestions on how they've dealt with, that and what has worked for them. I mean, it's just wonderful all around. And I'm so glad that like we could keep building that support for the young adult community.
It is so important. I was actually just having this conversation with my parents regarding my younger brother. He's 20 right now, and he's trying to figure out who he is and who he wants to be. And one parent has this pressure into get a summer job and make sure that's the career you want to go to. And 15 years down the line, everything will work out great. And my brother's like, how do I know what I want to do? And then they give him a suggestion, tell him this is what you're going to do. And he's like, no, he doesn't want his whole life planned. He doesn't know who he is yet. Then the other parent is like, stay in school, work hard in school, get your degree. And then it's like, okay, but then what? What does this degree do for me? Because unfortunately, at a bachelor's level, there's many degrees that don't necessarily put you in a much more significant position forward than not having the degree. So with this specific degree, what does it mean to me? Do I want to go on to the next step? Do I want to stick with it? What career, what industry? There's just so many questions. And I think that because parents went through it 40 years ago, or because they didn't go through it and they want to give their kids opportunities that they didn't have, they tend to not realize how stressful it is to figure out who you want to be. I actually turned to my father this morning because he was worried about my brother not knowing who he is. And he's like, he's got to figure it out. He's running out of time. And I'm like, he's 20. When I was 20, I was in a psych ward. So he's doing better than me. Let's give him a minute to figure out who he is.
No, definitely. That's just, I couldn't agree more. I mean, when I started my undergrad, a few years ago, I mean, that was the hardest time of my life. I felt like I had no support, I fell into this really dark place. And it's because exactly what you said, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of pressure to do something with your life. And, a lot of times we don't know what we're wanting to do. You know, I started college wanting to go into veterinary science, and now I'm in social work. So, I mean, that goes to show you that like you can change like life paths anytime. And it's stressful to really, you know, I don't know, just be pushed in all these different directions from peers, from family members. I mean, it's challenging. I couldn't agree more, honestly.
It is challenging and it's hard because it does feel so isolating. You're trying to figure out who you are, and you go on social media and it looks like everyone around you has their whole life figured out, and they have not only do they have it figured out, they are working, they have these financial resources to go travel the world and live these amazing glamorous lives, and I'm waking up like, what can I do today? What's my next step?
Oh no, No, I agree. There's I wake up sometimes I'm thinking I should do more. I should do more, you know, there's more I should do. But and also like I stress myself out, you know, like saying that because, you know, everybody has different experiences and like different journeys, and it's just it's so easy to beat yourself up. So I relate to what you said.
Well, I love that. And that's what's so important about these peer support groups is knowing that other people relate. Unfortunately, there was very few people at 17, 18 years old, fresh out of high school, who know exactly who they are, who they want to be, and have the whole plan put together, and that plan stays exactly the same. I have one friend, one of everyone that I went to school with, who knew coming in what degree he wanted and where he wanted to work, and is on that same path after graduating. One friend out of maybe 10 to 15 people who completely just changed gears. I personally went from I'm going to be a lawyer to a business degree in management, then a master's in information systems, to now a master's in psychology. So it's hard. You do change your mind, and that's okay. But to know that there's other people out there who feel the same way, who are going through it, who can offer some kind of support, a listening ear, some guidance, some anything, is just so valued.
Oh yes, no, certainly. Exactly. Like because it's so easy to like think that you're alone in this process, you know. It's crazy because like I relate to what you just said because yes, you know, I started out in veterinary science, but also like there were a little bit of like points in my life where I transitioned into other specialties too, like, you know, thinking about like going into radiology, thinking about doing this and that, you know, but it is definitely, it makes a world of a difference when we can all support each other through that time. And really like, you know, it's always better to like have another person's perspective, you know, even like, you know, because like for me, like I have anxiety, so these thoughts like that I have are always racing in my head, so it's hard for me to listen to myself, you know, and know when to stop. But like when other people are telling me, you know, hey, like I've done this, it helps, or hey, you know, maybe you shouldn't be so hard on yourself, it really, I mean, it really helps.
It does. It's so hard to listen to ourselves. When we listen to ourselves, we tend to listen to all the criticism and all the things that are wrong with us. I don't know why, because that's so silly. When you talk to yourself, you most of the time we only take in all the things that destroy our self-esteem and our confidence and make us feel so bad. And when someone else tells us all these good things, it clicks so much easier. So to have people who just even listen and let you know that you're important and your voice deserves to be heard can change everything. Or to know that, you know what, building some affirmations worked for me. Let's build some affirmations together. If you're at home, you're trying to figure it out by yourself, sometimes it may feel very silly, but to have someone sitting there with you doing it and helping reframe those thoughts, amazing, just a world of difference.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I mean, you know, I've just from attending like the adult groups, even, I mean, you know, it's also different, but like from attending those groups, like there are some things where I'm like, oh, you know, they're right. You know, I definitely could try to do this and see, the results from that. But like, and as a young adult and as like the facilitator in the young adult support group, we also benefit from it. So, sometimes I hear some of the members recommending stuff and I've never thought of that before. And it's great. And it's really like helped me as well. So no, yeah, I believe in the power of community and building connections, because that is definitely the most important aspect of, number one, spreading awareness of mental illness, and number two, coping with it.
Exactly. Going back to the facilitator comment,
Yeah.
there's so much value in being the person who listens as well and who helps guide the conversation. But even if you were just to show up as a member of the support group and not speak the entire time, building off, like you said, from the facilitator point of view, just hearing what other people are saying and grabbing tools for yourself, even if you're not ready to talk, even if you're not ready to open up, you don't know if this is the right place for you. I really recommend people try to sit through a support group and just listen. There is a lot of value in hearing what other people have to say, and not just knowing that you're not alone, but finding tools that you may not have even knew existed before.
Oh, no, exactly. I recommend, even if you don't want to speak, you don't have to. Our groups are very comfortable in the fact where we're not going to, we don't prod anybody for answers. They don't have to even say their name if they don't want to. But no, just being there to even just listen. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of benefit in that. I mean, maybe at the moment you won't know, but like after the group is done, you'll be like, wow, I feel a little better, and just from listening, it's crazy.
It is. I don't think peer support groups get enough credit. I don't think people see how just world changing I think that's the word I want to use, world changing it is to listen to someone else describing something that you've been facing, and to hear that the commonalities, hear the differences, hear what they've done, what's worked for them, and maybe they're at a place where they haven't figured anything out other than the fact that they're struggling. There might even be a chance for you to offer one tiny piece of information that you've learned along the way. And to see that, I think, is also so powerful, to give back while also receiving.
Oh, yes. And it's also like, as a mental health advocate myself, like, it really just makes me happy to like just be there for people who are struggling in one way or another, even if it's not mental illness related. Maybe if it's just they're dealing with a friend who has a mental illness and they're trying to, be there for them. I mean, I'm an empathetic person, so I love, just like being there for people. And it just gives me so much joy to know that we have this available for young adults who need it, and not just young adults, anybody else, because we have a bunch of different groups on NAMI Tallahassee. So it's just remarkable for me.
I love that. And yes, for anyone listening, if you're in a different state and you're not even in Tallahassee and you're unable to connect with NAMI Tallahassee, NAMI has over, I think, 200 affiliates all over the country, with so many different types of peer support groups. They have family trainings, they have peer-to-peer. I mean, they will come into schools with end the silence trainings and presentations. There are so many amazing resources that NAMI has to offer. If you have NAMI California, the West LA, doing ETS, I might be your presenter. So hit us up for a presentation. Quick plug. But genuinely, there are so many amazing peer support groups out there. I really recommend NAMI's because I've been given the privilege and opportunity to see a lot of them firsthand. However, I'm sure there are so many other ones out there that you can research. Just do a quick Google search, ask people in your community. I think peer support groups are amazing. And I just genuinely want to tell everyone out there listening that you deserve to find one that works for you. But diving deeper into the peer support groups and into your peer support group from 18 to 25, What are some of the common topics / discussions that you have in these groups?
So the group, like all the topics that we bring to the table are topics that, because we're young adults ourselves, topics that we wish we would have heard earlier, or, topics that, depending on the season, maybe final season, midterms, what do they want to hear now? And even if they're not in college, it's still beneficial. Like these topics are like stress, they're building relationships, self-esteem, confidence, building that, just topics that we could relate to ourselves, because what's special about our group is that we're also going through these like challenges. So we tailor our topics to, what the young adult community needs to hear, because a lot of times like they're not talked about, and for example, I mean, self-esteem, I mean, that definitely correlates to mental health issues. I mean, if you think about it, there's a lot that can stem from just not appreciating yourself. So I mean, our topics are made for them.
That is incredible. I always say one of the biggest limitations there is in mental health care and support right now is the lack of focus toward youth and toward young adults. Because unfortunately, the people who are in charge, the people who are running the APA, who are running big organizations, they writing the DSMs, they just tend to not be in our age group.
Nope.
They don't have the same experiences that we do, because the world has changed tremendously in the last decade. So whereas we grew up in a world with social media, with a lot of extra outside pressures and stressors that their age group can't understand, how bullying has no longer been something that happens during school and then school year's over, or class is over for the day, or there's a weekend and it stops. You have people attacking people on Twitter or on Instagram, direct messages all day, or kids growing up looking at their phone, waiting to see who likes and doesn't like their photo. I mean, it sounds very silly in some instances, but it is the reality of today's youth. And we need to be looking at opportunities to have conversations regarding that, and resources and tools we can provide that combat the extra stress, pressure, self-esteem reduction that is happening as a result of modern technology.
Oh yes, definitely. Social media is huge. People don't realize like how much of an effect it has on your mental health. I mean, like there are times where like, especially like TikTok or like, you're on these sites and it's fun, but then you realize that you're slowly looking at other people and comparing yourself to them. For example, I see TikToks or see my friends like traveling the world, and I'm like, wait, why am I not doing that right now? I'm young, and then it gets to me that like, oh, maybe I'm just not doing enough, or, and it just like makes me upset and hard on myself. And yeah, I mean, these young adults are seeing like their peers doing these things, and they're seeing like influencers doing things, and I think a lot of times they get discouraged. And and going back to the social media and mental health, yeah, I mean, there's a huge correlation in that, that a lot of older adults don't really understand, because yeah, it was a lot different. They didn't have all these platforms and all these issues, and especially now with the whole pandemic that has occurred. I mean, it's even worse than it has been prior.
Exactly. And I really resonated with that share of being on social media and comparing and seeing, well, I'm not doing enough. I think that's what I do all the time. And it's so frustrating, because I will go days where I'm not sleeping, bags under my eyes and bruises, because I saw all these other people who seemed way more successful than I was, doing way more than I was, and getting paid way more than I will for a speaking engagement. And I'm like, I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing enough. But all I'm doing is burning myself out, tossing my mental health into the toilet to compare myself to the highlight reel someone put out there on social media.
Exactly. It can be very toxic to your brain. And actually, I watched a documentary not too long ago that discussed like, and they're just all like the CEOs, presidents of these social media platforms, and they're discussing like how dangerous they actually are. Yeah, which you guys have to watch if it's still on Netflix. I cannot remember what it's called, but it's very, very eye-opening. And just it makes you realize, well, wow, I mean, you know, this is definitely causing a lot of harm. Maybe like this is one of the main sources of my, problems right now. Maybe I need to take a step back, which is very hard to do, by the way, because I mean, I think we're addicted to just going on there and like, especially TikTok scrolling, but I mean, sometimes we have to kind of look at the bigger picture when we're thinking about our mental health and what's good for us. Um, maybe just only going on there for an hour and setting your phone to knock you off after that hour. I don't know. I mean, it all depends on like what works for you and what's going to nurture you in the long run. But yes, I agree.
For those of you listening, these are the kinds of conversations you can have in a peer support group and pieces of advice you can get. But on the other hand, what are some of the limitations of a peer support group?
So some of the limitations are right now, especially like, and I don't know how the other affiliates are doing, but NAMI Tallahassee, we are needing volunteers. So it's also a little difficult to have that peer support group every week. We actually do it now on the first Tuesday and last Tuesday of every month, just because we don't have enough volunteers. And, sometimes, even our volunteers, like they need to take a break and, they can get burned out as well. So, with that being said, I would say the limitations are the lack of volunteers, but also it could be, and it hasn't happened yet, but if there's a lot of people in groups sometimes, maybe there could be some people that feel like they're not being heard. But in our group, I'm definitely ready to, conquer that. I try to make sure everybody's, able to talk, and my facilitators are amazing. They do a great job on that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, really, I don't see any other limitations to our groups, because they're more so just, community engagement, events, and they're not, you're not forced to go. You don't have to go if you don't want to, and they're just made to just kind of meet new people, connect, build relationships, and ultimately, helping each other through the challenges of mental illness.
That is the best selling point I've ever just heard to a peer support group, just helping each other through. We all struggle with our mental health, whether or not we have a diagnosed illness. We may have symptoms. We may just be struggling, just feeling burnt out, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, not knowing what to do. And peer support groups really help you find a community who is experiencing similar things and may have some advice or guidance or just a listening ear that changes it all for you. So with all of that being said, Allie, you've been amazing today. How can people find you and join your peer group?
So you can search NAMI Tallahassee online, and it'll bring up our page, our affiliate page, and there will be like ways you could sign up through there. It lists all the groups we offer, and the young adult support group is on there. But you can also, always, sorry, you can always look up on Google, NAMI Young Adult Support Group if you can't find it through our page, and it should bring you there. We've actually been getting a lot of people from different states, by like allowing them to, find our links online, which is remarkable, honestly. I'm so happy that we were able to touch so many people. But yeah, that would be the easiest way. And I recommend, like, definitely just, even if you don't want to speak, just being there to listen, it makes a difference for sure.